Hey, I'm your host, Marissa Panay. Welcome to Your Brand is Showing, the podcast for service providers who are tired of blending in and wondering why no matter how much you market your business, you're still not attracting the clients you want. Spoiler, it all comes back to your brand. So let's make sure your brand is saying the right thing to the right people so you can finally create content that truly connects. Hey, what's up? Hello. Welcome to another episode of Your Brand is Showing. Have you guys ever played Chutes and Ladders? Now, my memory of this game's a little rusty, but right now this analogy is working for me, so I'm gonna roll with it. But let's just say your business right now is a game of Chutes and Ladders, and if you feel this way, I'm talking about you are taking forward momentum, you're climbing those ladders, you feel like you're moving along in the game, and you're so excited, and you're like, yes, I got somebody to design my logo, I hired that, now I look like a professional business. But you know what? I also need a website, so I'm gonna hire someone to do that. And now you've paid money, and you've had somebody design your website, so you're like, yes, now I have an online presence, or maybe you're DIYing. But either way, you're checking these things off the boxes of all the things, quote unquote, that you need to do as a business owner. You're climbing all these ladders, so to speak, you're gaining the momentum, and then all of a sudden you land on a chute, and you're way back to the bottom. And that chute, in this theory, can either be, it doesn't feel right anymore, it feels misaligned, or maybe you're just not getting the traction that you thought you would because you're taking all the actions everybody told you to do, you're moving forward, quote unquote, by doing what status quo tells you what you need to do, but either it doesn't feel right, or it's just not working. Something's not clicking. You're either attracting the wrong clients, you're not attracting any clients, or it just feels disheveled, right? And this is the Chutes and Ladder vision of what happens when you don't actually build a brand and you don't have those brand foundations before you start building upon it. So this is that shaky ground theory that I talked about in previous episodes, but you can't build something sustainable on something that's not meant to last. So a lot of times what we do as business owners, we start a business, we're like, I have a great idea, I'm going to just start rolling with it because done is better than perfect. And I do believe that done is better than perfect. And I do think messy action leads to whatever, all those like little sentences that you hear floating on the internet. I do believe that. I do believe that you're not going to get anywhere if you have to make it perfect first. But I do think that along the way, like you can start, it can be messy. But I think at some point along the way, you have to realize, okay, we're doing the thing. I've proved to myself that this is the business that I'm going to run. These are my skill sets. These are my experiences. This is everything. Now, instead of it just being bring this business to life, it has to be let's build this business into a brand. Because anybody can have a business. Anybody can sell anything, anybody can make money, but having a brand is much, much, much different than having a business. And so, if you are running a business, you might be playing a game of Chutes and Ladders. But if you want to build a brand, we're just going up. There are no more chutes in your story. So how do you do this? Because this is the part that people are like, okay, you're telling me I have to like look deeper and do all these things, but I don't really know. And this is why I personally love working with purpose-based business owners, because there is always a story. You might not know it at first, but if you are a purpose-driven business owner or you are doing something because you either saw a lack of something in your community, in your industry, and you're like, I need to make the world a better place in some shape or form, that can be as simple as like starting a gluten-free cookie shop if you are somebody that's like, oh, there's not a lot of gluten-free cookies out there. Or it can be something as big as, oh, I started a nonprofit because of this thing. Like, it doesn't matter what you were doing. Like for me, I consider myself a purpose-driven business because my goal as a marketing strategist is to help other business owners who have no idea how to build a brand and create content, is to get their purpose-based businesses out there. Like I'm helping you help others. That is the core of everything that I do as a marketing person, where there are other marketing people that are like, let's make money. Like there are so many different aspects, the ways you can take this purpose-driven bit. But pulling it back here, how do you turn your business into a brand? Now, I will say that if you were trying to build your brand, it's not going to come overnight and it's not going to be the first thing that you think of. It is going to be more of an exploratory, deep work type of thing. Give your brain some white space. Sit down with a pen and paper. That's the best way to do these exercises that I've found. This is how we're going to do it. So 4 different things here I want you to think about. I want you to think about your brand voice, but I want you to think about this beyond just keywords and jargon of professional, I'm friendly, I'm this. Like I want you to actually sit down and start journaling about your hot takes. Like start thinking about what makes you actually eye roll in your industry. And like in that sense, what do you believe that others might disagree with? So from a marketing perspective, I know that there are a lot of people that are like, video content is the way, it is the only way, we need more video content. And while I agree with that, there is a difference between good video content and shit video content. So if your subject, so to speak, like if you are creating content for your own business, but it physically pains you to be in front of the camera and it literally looks like you're being held at gunpoint recording these videos and there's no emotion, there's no anything, then sorry, no, that video is not better than having no video. So in that case, I'm not going to be the one that's like, you must get on video right now or you are going to fail. No, there are other ways around that. Whereas there are other marketing professionals that'll just be like, no, video's away. And then you just start creating noise and like shit content. Whereas you could actually be a little more strategic and be like, okay, what are my strengths here? If your strengths are writing, where you can be behind the computer and get all your things out, we can think of other ways to generate video content that doesn't involve you looking like you're held at gunpoint on camera, okay? So that would be a little like hot take from my perspective on like the marketing things. But what are things in your industry that make you eye roll, or the things that you can go on like tangents with where you'll be like, hey, I'm just popping on stories real quick because what the fuck? Like things like that. Those are your hot takes, okay? Those are the ways that you're going to kind of figure out like, oh, I do this a little bit differently than everybody else. Because when you're in your sphere and you're hearing all the things that everybody else in your industry are saying, it might just be like, there's nothing unique about me. I'm just another marketing professional. I'm just another photographer. I'm just another whatever. But you do have your hot takes. So figure that out, right? And again, we're just journaling on these hot takes right now. Then the other thing I want you to do is I want you to start recording yourself. And again, I know there's a lot of you that are like, I don't want to be on camera. You don't have to do anything with this recording other than keep it. Just keep it in a file. Honestly, you don't even need a video file. It can be an audio file, but record it, transcribe it, just pop it into an AI of some sort. And then that natural, unfiltered way that you explain things, that is your voice. And again, little hack here, if you can transcribe it, you can then plug it into, let's say, ChatGPT and say, this is a conversation about XYZ. I'm explaining this topic about so-and-so to my friend. Can you give me a little background on what my tone of voice might be? Like you can play with AI. You can use these tools when you are DIYing your brand to try to uncover some more things about you. Like you might realize that you'll put your information into ChatGPT and be like, hey, help me analyze this. And you'll be like, damn, like I didn't even think about that, but that's so spot on. That's exactly how I talk. You'll start to connect dots that you are unable to see on your own. Another way that you can find your voice is to create a this, not that list. And this is kind of in the same light of the journaling about your hot takes, but start thinking about things deeper than just surface level here. So instead of saying, I'm friendly, my tone of voice is friendly. Like, yes, you might come across as approachable and friendly, but friendly means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So maybe it's, I'm not just friendly, I'm the friend who calls you on your BS when you need it. Like that is much more specific. I am that person that's gonna give it to you straight versus I'm gonna be like, yes, I think that's great. Those are both friendly friends. There are certain friends that'll just be like, yes, oh my God, so slay, queen, like all that shit. And then there's other friends that'll be like, okay, I hear you, I see you, but have you ever considered this? Those are both friendly, approachable characters, but the way that your voice will come through is completely different. And also transcribe yourself like casually. Like don't think about the transcription as in like I'm being recorded, I have to start talking because then you're gonna sound like a robot and then it's not gonna come across authentically. Like maybe another great idea is like have your significant other, have one of your friends like be like, hey, at some point today, just hit record while we're having a conversation. Like have them do it so you don't know when you're on the spot. Or be like, hey, somebody you hang out with every day, be like, can you just start recording me when I start talking about topics that I'm fired up about, because then you're going to get those more authentic pieces, right? After you get your voice down, and again, this doesn't have to be in any specific order, just whenever you're trying to get to the juice, clarifying your messaging. So the why you, right? So things that you can think about here, because again, it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm just a marketer in the sea of marketers, or I am just a photographer in the sea of photographers. No, there's a reason why your clients hired you. You might not know what it is, but I guarantee you if you ask them, so here's where the advice comes in, start interviewing your past clients, or if you are somebody that collects testimonials, ding, 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 you should always be collecting past testimonials, start structuring your testimonial questions. Like, don't just be like, hey, can you write me a testimonial? Because then they're going to be like, hey, Billy Bob was great. Like, they're just going to be like, you should hire Billy Bob. I loved Billy Bob. But if you were saying, hey, what were you feeling before you hired me? What frustrations were you dealing with in your life? And then what was the process of working with me like? How did you feel during that process? Start tapping into the feelings more than just like tangible results. Like we can get to the tangible results as well, but where were they in this mindset beforehand? Where were they while they worked with you? And then after, whether it is directly after, like it was finished product delivered and you're like, love it? Or is it like a month later and you're like, okay, now that you've implemented our services, like we've done this, how is your life different now? Tangibly and emotionally, how are we feeling about this, right? So interview past clients, why they chose you and how they felt and what the experience was like, because their words are going to then help you be like, oh, like somehow these people are all saying the same thing, which is weird because I never thought of it like this. Or maybe you're thinking, I'm very helpful, I like listen to all your questions, but maybe they're taking it and they're saying it as like, they're very receptive, they very much cared about my business versus making me just feel like I was another customer. Like then you're gonna hear these words that you might think that you had a value or something that you did, but it's being spit back at you in a different direction. That different direction, if people are saying the same type of thing, weave that into your messaging because that's going to help clarify your overall message. And then think about those results that you've gotten for your clients, look for patterns, start weaving that into your messaging too, because that is what's going to differentiate you. The last thing I want you to do is look at your origin story. And I know this is like, what are we, a fucking like superhero here? What actually led you to this decision to become an entrepreneur? Because I guarantee you, even if it was like push came to shove, you got laid off or fired or COVID happened or whatever it was, whatever led you to start this business was deeper than just that surface level, I got laid off or I had a kid or whatever it is. Because if one of those life events happened, there's a reason why you chose this specific path forward versus finding a new job or versus going into any other field. So like I know a lot of people that were like, oh, I got laid off, so I started my own agency. But were you doing that specific thing before? Because I feel like a lot of it's like a passion project or something you gave up once before, or it is something that you've done for years, but you hyper-focused on one specific avenue, or your avenue had pivoted over the years. Like maybe you started this business as a wedding photographer and now you are a brand photographer. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are transitions that led you to where you are today. What caused that? Talk about it. And again, don't just look at the surface level detail. If you have not heard my episode about my brand story, go back. That technically it's from the Content Strategies and Sweatpants podcast and not this one, but if you go back, it's one of the last episodes that I recorded before launching this. Listen to it because even my brand story shocked me. Like there are things that when I look deeper, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Like there's a lot of subconscious and unconscious things that led you here, and that makes you unique. And that, again, everything happens for a reason. I firmly believe that, and that is true with your origin story and your business and everything else. Put that into your messaging. It will make you stand out. It will make your brand feel more aligned to you. The next thing I want you to do is define your values. And again, we are going much beyond generic corporate speak, right? Like we're not using the jargon. We're not doing that. Think about what pisses you off in your industry because your values are quite literally the opposite. Like for me, the biggest thing that irritates me is when people are yes men in marketing and they're like, yeah, we can totally do that. Yeah, we can totally do that. And then you get to the execution portion of it and everyone looks at each other and they're like, well, how are we going to do that? We don't have the assets to do that. So why did you tell them we can do that? Because that's not possible. And so now the deliverables are going to fall short because they're in the expectation that, oh, I had a great idea. Now my marketing team's going to execute it. And no, we're not. Like we could, but one, you don't have the budget for it. Two, you don't have the resources for it. Like whatever it is. Like I hate yes men people that just say that to make a client happy. Whereas I am the realist and I'm going to tell you, that sounds like a great idea, but here's what needs to happen in order to make that happen. Like, it's not just magic. We are not magicians here, right? So that is something that pisses me off in my industry. And one of my values is transparency. Like, I'm going to give it to you straight, like I said earlier, but I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to help you get to your goals, and it might not be in the way that you think it is. You might think that I need to go viral for this specific goal to happen, and I'm going to be like, hey, virality probably isn't your thing, but you know what will help you? Building a solid brand that people remember and call upon and trust and all of those things. So things that piss me off in my industry are seeping through into this episode. So you can kind of understand what my values are, right? Now, listing your non-negotiables in client work. So these aren't just boundaries, they're values and actions. So if you are thinking about things like when you are working with clients and you're like, nope, like I am very, very set, like these are my working hours, I'm not going to answer emails, I'm not going to answer texts outside of these things, then that is a value for you, whether that is respecting your time, whether that is just respect in general, whether that is you respecting their time because you don't want them to be working outside of, like, think about the things, the actions you take and how that corresponds to how you operate as a business owner. Think of it beyond the generic corporate of like, we are innovative. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, okay, so you're innovative. You use AI. Okay, how are you using AI? Are you using it as like, write me a social media caption? Boop. That's not really innovative. So like, go deeper. Why are you innovative? Start thinking about that. And again, I am a person that I always need to know why behind things. So I want you to take this mentality right now. And if you say something, ask yourself why. And then when you get that answer, ask yourself why. Like, be a 5-year-old for this process, because I guarantee you, the deeper you go, the more you will uncover, and the more you'll be like, oh, there is a reason behind that. Like, don't just top level it. Like, we're going deeper and deeper and deeper with all of these, right? And then another thing I want you to ask yourself is, what would I stand for even if it cost me clients? Whew, that one is a big one. Let's say somebody offered you like $7,000 a month for a retainer client for a year. Okay, let's say that was on the horizon, but something about that business did not align with you. What is that? If you could think of something, like, let's say maybe it was a belief they had, maybe it was the core of what they did, maybe it was just like an ethical thing. Like, what is it that you would turn that down? Okay, like if you were like, I'm sorry, I am not signing a contract with you. What are those things that you would be like, draw the line here? Not for me, goodbye. Because those are also talking to your values. Because as a company, you have to realize that every decision that you make, every client that you sign, that's a part of you. Like, this is your business. What would you stand for? What would you not stand for? Think about that. Those are your values, okay? Moving on. Thinking about your client journey, okay? So we're talking about the overall experience that your clients have, not just the deliverables. Because again, this is still talking to your brand experience as a whole. So I want you to document the entire emotional transformation your clients go through. Ding, ding, ding. This will come through in that testimonials that I talked about earlier. Not just the tactical steps. Don't just be like, oh, I onboard my clients and they sign a contract and they pay an invoice and I do this. Think about it more of like, okay, so I welcome them into my space, and I do that by, we have a whole onboarding sequence. They get all of the details, they get all of these documents, they understand what comes next. There's a client dashboard, they have all their documentation, whatever it is. Because one, while yes, you should also include these deliverables in your thing, but the more you think about it, not everyone does the same thing as you. A lot of people are like, hey, I paid the invoice, and now they're left in limbo, like, okay, what comes next? How do I know when my services are starting? When's the next touch point we have? Can I call you? Can I text you? Do I have ability to ask you questions? Like, if you give a seamless experience, you are building trust. You're building like a relationship with your client right off the bat that's going, okay, like I made a good investment, right? Like it's affirming that it's not just take my money and run. So while you're onboarding somebody, what are the processes they go through, both emotionally and tactilely? Like, are they feeling like they swipe their credit card and then do they get a receipt emailed to them instantly, or do they have to then reach out to you to get a receipt? Yeah, that's a different emotional pull, right? Like, it's like, oh, did this payment go through? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, let me ask for a receipt and like, let's hope it went through. Like, do you want that to be the client experience, or do you want it to be like, oh, I hit pay, now an email's here, and now, oh, look, I just got another email that tells me what the next step is. Oh, okay, there's a client portal. Let me log in and see what's in there. Different things, right? Like, those are your unique methods. Those are the little things you do differently. So talk to that. Or let's say you have a framework. So let's say, I'll use my client dashboards for my social media clients, for example, here. So if you are a new social media client of mine, you will get a ClickUp dashboard. Inside that ClickUp dashboard, we'll have content calendar, which will have everything laid out as like pending until we have our first strategy session. But there will be a little video in the top right corner that kind of walks you through all that you'll get. There will be links to everything, including your contract, your invoice. You'll have links to your Google Drive folder. You'll also have a link to schedule your strategy sessions. And then over on the left-hand side, you'll have the upcoming meeting notes, and so I'll fill that in with your meeting link, so you know exactly what to do when you come in, and you can see everything at a glance. You know that I'm not creating content last minute, because you will see it. It will be marked as ready for your review. There is a specific way that I go about doing this for all of my clients. Like, nothing is flying by the seat of my pants. I'm going to do it this way now. I'm going to do it this way. Like, it is very strategic and it's very intentional. So if you are a client of mine, you're going to come on, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this seems very well thought out. I feel confident that I just made a good decision. I love seeing all these things. I get my intro email that has everything listed out of what I need to do, check some boxes, and we are good to go, right? And then the other thing I want you to think about is like your secret sauce. I hate that term, but your secret sauce, like, what do you do? There's a rhyme and a reason for everything you do. What is it? Is it you're going through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? maybe you don't vocalize this, maybe it's all in the behind the scenes right now, or it's in your head, but you have processes and you have things and ways that you go about doing things. Why do you do that? Think about, oh, I do this because it makes this transition seamless, or we can't do Y without X. And maybe your client doesn't understand that. Maybe they just want Y, but they don't have X yet. So now when they're going to go to work with you, they're like, oh, wait, we have to do X first? I thought we were going right to Y. If you write out these processes and you include them in from start to finish, like, these are assets that you can put then on your website, in your content. Like, these, once you figure out your whole brand experience, you figure out all of these little bits, you're going to start being like, okay, I have all this information. There are some people that are going to love what I do. There are going to be some people that hate what I do. The people that love what I do are going to be my ideal clients. And again, you can have an idea of your ideal client, but the more you work with people, you might be like, oh, my ideal clients aren't restaurant chefs, they're mom and pop chefs. Like, the more you go into the weeds, you'll start to realize that what you stand for and what your brand stands for might not be what you had this idealized vision of what your business was for originally. So things will start to pivot, will start to shift, but unless you do that brand work and that foundational work first, it's going to be really, really hard to not play a game of Chutes and Ladders where you're doing all the work and then you're like, oh crap, we have to start over again. So something to keep in mind when you leave this podcast episode is just ask yourself, does my brand have the depth to back up its aesthetic? Because again, we can have pretty logos, we can have pretty websites, we can have pretty social media feeds, but like, does it have the depth, or is it just a checkbox that we ticked off to move to the next step, right? And am I showing up fully as myself, or am I trying to fit into somebody else's type? So again, when we do this deep work and we understand how we do things and we take a good look at it, and we're not just like, oh, we're going through the motions, chasing the next sale. Like, when there is intentionality and purpose behind what you're doing, it won't feel like a fucking rat race, and it won't feel like a game of Chutes and Ladders. And then, what makes working with me a unique experience that can't be replicated? Because again, hello, here we are. We're all unique little sunflowers. No, but like, working with me for social media management and working with somebody else for social media management, wildly different experiences. We might give you the same type of deliverables. We might give you the same type of results. We might give you the same type of content. But the process and the experience of working with me versus them is probably going to be wildly different. So you have to keep all of these things into account, and then they all kind of package together and they make a neat little, and that's your brand. So your brand is also a living, breathing thing, especially as a service provider. You are constantly changing, you are constantly evolving. Your expertise and your services and all those things might constantly evolve. So it's not just like you do it once and you're done. This is something that will probably grow and evolve with you, but if you do the foundation first, you're not starting at the bottom of the game board, going all the way up to the top and slamming back to the bottom. You might have a little bit of a boop, boop, but you're not going, whoosh. We're not on the Tower of Terror here. There is a more strategic way to go about building your business, especially if you want that business to be a brand and to be memorable and to be something that is irreplaceable to your customers in their perspective. Like, there will be so many of you, quote unquote, of your service provider type that are out there. What is going to make them choose you over and over and over again? And they're not going to deviate because of something shinier or newer or less expensive. There is a reason they choose you. Those clients that renew over and over again, there's a reason they choose you and not your competition, not somebody that is cheaper, not somebody that is shinier. So think about that. And once you can figure out that, you're onto it.